House come to order. Members, proceed to your seats. Will the members please rise for the invocation delivered by Reverend Jerry Morton DeWitt, retired Lutheran pastor of Frankfort, Kentucky, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we lift before you all who govern this great commonwealth. May those who hold power realize their trust from you for the service of the people. Drive any and all away from cynicism or selfishness or corruption. Grant in your mercy a just and honest government. Strengthen these in this chamber to discern and accomplish even difficult decisions. Satisfy the needs that need to be met during this session. Grant these who govern to lead everyone together so that the people live in harmony and truth. And finally, like a fruitful harvest and a quenching spring, may the Commonwealth of Kentucky have the privilege of being prosperous and having security and peace. We pray this in the name of your Son. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk will sound the chimes. Members, indicate your presence. Clerk will take the roll. There being 96 members indicating their presence, quorum is declared and House is ready to proceed. Next order of business, the excuse of absent members. Gentleman from Taylor.
Mr. Speaker, I move you, sir, that the absent members be excused in accordance with the House rules.
Gentleman from Taylor.
Mr. Speaker, I move to suspend the rules for the purpose of allowing members to co-sponsor bills and resolutions or to submit vote modifications and have filed the proper papers with the clerk to do so.
Without objection, so ordered. Next order of business is the approval of the journal. Gentleman from McCracken.
Mr. Speaker, I yield to the clerk of the Senate.
Chair recognizes the clerk of the Senate. Good afternoon, Madam Clerk.
Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker.
The Senate has passed Senate Bills 50 and 191 and respectfully request concurrence of this honorable body.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
Gentleman from McCracken.
Mr. Speaker, I move you so that the journal from Wednesday, March 4, 2026 be approved.
Without objection, the journal from Wednesday, March 4th, 2026 is approved. Next order of business, the second reading of bills. Clerk, please report.
House Bill 67 with House Committee Substitute 1, Representative Payne, an act relating to schools and declaring an emergency. House Bill 273 with House Committee Substitute 1, Representative Klein's, an act relating to barbering. House Bill 380 with House Committee Substitute 1 and House Floor Amendment 1, Representative Smith, an act relating to the regulation of virtual currency kiosk business. House Bill 542 with House Committee Substitute 1, Representative Dossett, an act relating to eminent domain and declaring an emergency. House Bill 563, Representative Flannery, an act relating to driving under the influence. House Bill 565, Representative Dossett, an act relating to fire protection. House Bill 654 with House Committee Substitute 1 and House Floor Amendment 1, Representative Baker, an act relating to school district reporting and declaring an emergency. House Bill 657, Representative Dietz, an act relating to professional licensing background checks. House Bill 685 with House Committee Substitute 1 and House Committee Amendment 1, the Title Amendment, Representative Riley, an act relating to teacher certification. House Bill 727, Representative Riley, an act relating to the Kentucky Educator Placement Service System. House Bill 759, Representative Payne, an act relating to teacher certification. House Bill 762 with House Floor Amendment 1, Representative Dietz, an act relating to legal representation. House Bill 774, Representative Decker, an act relating to the reporting of cost, fines, and fees. House Bill 776 with House Floor Amendments 1 and 2, Representative Derek Lewis, an act relating to the practice of dentistry. Senate Bill 118, Senator Storm, an act relating to credit personal property insurance. And Senate Bill 153, Senator Elkins, an act relating to the prevention of harmful and fraudulent practices.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. The next order of business, report of committees. Please report.
The Elections Constitutional Amendment and Intergovernmental Affairs Committee has met and reports House Bill 534 should pass to the rules with House Committee Substitute 2 and House Committee Amendment 1, the Title Amendment, an act relating to elections and declaring an emergency. The Families and Children Committee has met and reports House Bill 669 should pass with House Committee Substitute 1, an act relating to child welfare. House Bill 686 should pass, an act relating to the Kentucky Positive Youth Development Commission. House Concurrent Resolution 36 should pass with House Committee Substitute 1, a concurrent resolution establishing the Child Welfare and Family Court Reform Task Force. The Health Services Committee has met and reports House Bill 407 should pass with House Committee Substitute 1, an act relating to Certificate of Need. House Bill 676 should pass with House Committee Substitute 1, an act relating to the Kentucky Statewide Health Data Utility. House Bill 689 should pass, an act relating to the establishment of a Medicaid state-directed payment program. House Bill 713 should pass with House Committee Substitute 1, an act relating to workplace violence against healthcare professionals. The Natural Resources and Energy Committee has met and reports House Bill 535 should pass with House Committee Substitute 1, an act relating to investor-owned electric utilities and declaring an emergency. House Bill 667 should pass, an act relating to solid waste management service companies. House Bill 677 should pass with House Committee Amendment 1, the title amendment, an act relating to geologic sequestration of carbon dioxide. And House Joint Resolution 77 should pass, a joint resolution directing the Energy Planning and Inventory Commission to conduct a comprehensive assessment of coal resource viability and energy affordability in eastern Kentucky and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. All those bills and resolutions receiving favorable committee reports shall be considered as having their first reading and are ordered placed upon the calendar. House Bill 534, having received 2 previous readings, is ordered into possession of the Rules Committee for further action. Next order of business, the orders of the day. Gentleman from McCracken.
Mr. Speaker, I move you, sir, that House Bill 534 be taken from the Committee on Rules and placed in the orders of the day.
Without objection, so ordered. Gentleman from McCracken.
Mr. Speaker, I move you, sir, that House Bill 600 be taken from its place in the orders of the day, read for a third time by title and sponsor only, and placed upon its passage.
Motion is made and seconded that House Bill 600 be taken from its place in the orders of the day, read for the third time by title and sponsor only, and placed upon its passage. Clerk, please report.
House Bill 600, an act relating to the collection of delinquent tax bills. Representative Nemes.
Gentleman from McCracken.
Representative Imes.
Gentleman from McCracken.
Mr. Speaker, I yield to the lady from Callaway for explanation of the bill and motion thereon.
Chair recognizes the lady from Callaway for explanation of bill and a motion thereon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 600 allows counties to use a consolidated procedure for collecting delinquent tax bills, which means they can group multiple delinquent tax cases together for more efficient collection. It also requires that any contract between the Department of Revenue and a county attorney for collecting delinquent taxes must include the option for the county attorney to use this consolidated procedure. It allows county governments to take the same actions that cities do in regard to collection of property tax with delinquent and dilapidated properties. Cities have been allowed to do this now for years. Mr. Speaker, I move passage of House Bill 600.
Question before the body is passage of House Bill 600. Is there any discussion? Chair recognizes the gentleman from Jefferson 42 for discussion of the matter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the lady yield to a question?
She will yield.
Thank you. Lady, I'm familiar as a representative from Louisville. I'm familiar with this process that cities use from my experience with land banking. Now, in Louisville, we traditionally not seek foreclosure on occupied properties, but those that are vacant and abandoned, that has happened. In this bill, I read that it could go after any delinquent property, which means it could be occupied or not. Could you clarify that for me?
Lady from Callaway.
Yes, the purpose of the bill is to help the counties be able to collect, to go after these delinquent taxes. That is not the purpose of the bill is not to let anybody be removed from their property.
Gentleman from Jefferson.
Just a really quick follow-up, if I may, Mr. Speaker.
She will yield another question.
And thank you, lady, for the answer. I just want to give a scenario. Say the property is occupied but delinquent. So in that case, if a county wanted to foreclose on an occupied property that happens to be delinquent for some time, then the county has the ability to choose to do that. Is that correct?
Lady from Callaway.
Is it? Yes, that would be correct.
Gentleman from Jefferson.
May I speak briefly on the bill?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for the answers to the question, to the questions I had, lady. And here's my concern. Traditionally, when cities or counties have to deal with vacant and abandoned properties, they are of great cost to the city. There's a cost to maintain them, whether it is cutting grass or if they're abandoned, maybe broken windows, to say nothing of the tax bills. I am concerned about predatory third-party tax lien holders, and what I fear is that a company could come in and buy a third-party tax lien, therefore allowing for the foreclosure of a property that could be occupied. And I know it's probably an unintended consequence in that case, but given the answer, I just can't concede where a senior, an elderly person, or somebody that does not have means could pay for their property taxes. If they cannot do so, I can't fathom a city or a county that would want to foreclose on that. So in some cases in Louisville, we opt not to do so if it's occupied. So for that reason, it gives me great pause, and I would urge our members to just stop and consider that possibility to make sure that we're not putting people who do not have the means out on the street. Thank you.
Question before the body is passage of House Bill 600. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk will sound the chimes. Those in favor vote aye. Those opposed, nay. Roll call is open for your vote. Have all members voted? Does any member wish to change or explain their vote? Clerk will take the roll. In 82 members voting aye, 11 members voting nay, House Bill 600 is passed. Lady from Callaway.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move the clincher.
Without objection, clincher is applied. Gentleman from McCracken.
Mr. Speaker, I move you, sir, that House Bill 662 be taken from its place in the orders of the day, read for a third time by title and sponsor only, and placed upon its passage.
Motion's made and seconded that House Bill 662 be taken from its place in the orders of the day, read for the third time by title and sponsor only, and placed upon its passage. Clerk, please report.
House Bill 662, an act relating to the regulation of low-voltage battery-charged security fences by local governments. Representative Lawrence.
Gentleman from McCracken.
Mr. Speaker, I yield to the gentleman from Mason for explanation of the bill and motion thereon.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Mason for explanation of the bill and a motion thereon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I did just receive word that the Chamber of Commerce is in full support of this bill, so I wanted to give that out. As a small business owner and a business person, I love running business bills. So House Bill 662 attempts to streamline the installation of low-voltage battery-charged fences in the state of Kentucky. I have personally received calls from companies like trucking companies, storage facilities, rental companies, automotive sales places, all of which are in support of this legislation. This will just simply define what the low voltage fences are. House Bill 662 will take away regulatory guesswork by defining these security systems. This bill only applies to commercial and industrial zoned areas. This will not remove any of the local government regulations, just simply defines it. With that, Mr. Speaker, I would move for passage of House Bill 662.
Question before the body is passage of House Bill 662. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, clerk will sound the chimes. Those in favor vote aye. Those opposed, nay. Roll call is open for your vote. Have all members voted? Does any member wish to change or explain their vote? Clerk will take the roll. Being 96 members voting aye, no members voting nay, House Bill 662 is passed. Gentleman from Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for clincher.
Without objection, so ordered. Gentleman from McCracken.
Mr. Speaker, I move you, sir, that House Bill 364 be taken from its place in the orders of the day, read for a third time by title and sponsor only, and placed upon its passage.
Motion's made and seconded that House Bill 364 be taken from its place in the orders of the day, read for the third time by title and sponsor only, and placed upon its passage. Clerk, please report.
House Bill 364, an act relating to benefits for Kentucky National Guard members. Representative Bratcher.
Gentleman from McCracken.
Mr. Speaker, I yield to the gentleman from Hardin for explanation of the bill and motion thereon.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Hardin for explanation of the bill and a motion thereon.
Mr. Speaker, House Bill 364 would authorize emergency response pay for the brave men and women of Kentucky National Guard when they're called to serve the Commonwealth for disasters and emergencies. Mr. Speaker, I would like to call House Floor Amendment 1.
Clerk, please report.
House Floor Amendment 1 to House Bill 364.
Gentleman from Hardin.
Mr. Speaker, House Floor Amendment 1 provides some clarification that defines Commonwealth emergency pay paid to Kentucky National Guard members when Kentucky National Guard members are called up and dealing with hazardous duty assignments while on state active duty orders during a state of emergency. And the amendment defines hazardous duty as work performed in conditions under which service member has an increased risk of serious injury, illness, or death. Mr. Speaker, I move for adoption of House Floor Amendment 1.
Motion is for the adoption of House Floor Amendment 1. Is there any discussion of the floor amendment? Seeing none, those in favor signify by voting aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. House Floor Amendment 1 is adopted. Gentleman from Hardin.
Mr. Speaker, House Bill 364 ensures that Kentuckians who are serving our Commonwealth as part of the Kentucky National Guard's response to state emergency receive appropriate compensation. These citizen soldiers are not distant strangers. They are neighbors, teachers, nurses, doctors, mechanics, farmers, police officers, small business owners, and they're coaching our kids' teams on weekends and worshiping beside us on Sundays. When disaster strikes, tornadoes in western Kentucky or the floods in eastern Kentucky, or emergencies demanding immediate response, it is the Kentucky National Guard who answer the call. They do not ask whether the waters are too high or the debris is too dangerous or the hours are too long. They go. When activated, they leave their families and civilian jobs behind, often taking pay cuts to serve in unstable, unpredictable, and sometimes life-threatening conditions. They clear roads, conduct rescues, provide security, distribute food and medical supplies, and stand watch in our communities during the darkest hours. We ask them to face many hazards. Commonwealth emergency pay is not a bonus or luxury. It is a recognition and respect made tangible. Other states already provide hazardous pay when the Guard members are deployed, and Kentucky should do the same. This measure strengthens readiness and morale. It supports recruit retention and tells our Guard members that their Kentucky families, Kentucky stands behind you. We often say support our troops, and today we have a chance to show it. These men and women do not hesitate when we call. Let us not hesitate now. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for passage of House Bill 364 as amended by House Floor Amendment 1.
Question before the body is passage of House Bill 364 as amended by House Floor Amendment 1. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Perry for discussion of the matter.
Can I make a comment on the bill, Mr. Speaker?
Yes, sir.
I would just like to thank the gentleman from Hardin for bringing this legislation. In July of 2022, we suffered a devastating flood. In July of 2022, National Guard units came there and worked tirelessly for several hours and days, rescued several people from the hollers of Perry, Breathitt, Knott, Letcher counties. And I just want to say I'm thankful for them. It'd be a shame if I didn't thank them publicly on the House floor for what they did in July, and thank you.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Fayette 79 for discussion of the matter.
May I speak on the bill?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to commend the gentleman from Hardin. He had the unfortunate assignment to sit by me during his first 2 years here in the House. And we actually talked about this legislation a lot. I know he's worked for many, many years to get this finalized and get it brought to the floor today. We've shared lots of conversations with some of our friends who are currently active in the National Guard. Is this one of their top priorities for many reasons among recruiting? And when you put yourself out there, if you're a citizen soldier in this position, there's no greater love than laying down your life for somebody else. And we have several members of the National Guard who are called up for various reasons throughout their terms of service. And if they're willing to put their life on the line in a hazardous situation, we need to be properly compensating them for doing that. And I am very proud to be voting for this bill today, and excited for it, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
Chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson 35 for discussion of the matter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Speak on the bill.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I want to thank the gentleman from Hardin for bringing this bill. I wanted to say that when UPS Flight 2976 had its fatal crash in the heart of the 35th District on November 4th, 2025, the Kentucky Air National Guard was among the hundreds of emergency workers who responded to the disaster. They were deployed within minutes of the crash into what can only be described as a blazing inferno. I rise today in strong support of this good bill. When I vote yes today, it will be in honor of the selfless and courageous service of the members of the Kentucky Air National Guard. Thank you.
Question before the body is passage of House Bill 364 as amended by House Floor Amendment 1. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk will sound the chimes. Those in favor vote aye. Those opposed, nay. Roll call is open for your vote. Have all members voted? Does any member wish to change or explain their vote? Clerk will take the roll. Being 96 members voting aye and no members voting nay, House Bill 364 as amended by House Floor Amendment 1 is passed. Gentleman from Hardin.
Mr. Speaker, I move the clincher.
Without objection, so ordered. House stand at ease. Gentleman from McCracken.
Mr. Speaker, I move you, sir, that House Bill 534 be taken from its place in the orders of the day, read for a third time by title and sponsor only, and placed upon its passage.
Motion's made and seconded that House Bill 534 be taken from its place in the orders of the day, read for the third time by title and sponsor only, and placed upon its passage. Clerk, please report.
House Bill 534, an act relating to elections and declaring an emergency. Representative Johnson.
Gentleman from McCracken.
Mr. Speaker, I yield to the gentleman from Davis for explanation of the bill and motion thereon.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Davis for explanation of the bill and a motion thereon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Before I get into the text of the body of the bill, there is a House Committee Substitute. So I would ask that the clerk report House Committee Substitute 2, I believe.
Clerk, please report.
House Committee Substitute 2 to House Bill 534.
Gentleman from Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Request that we adopt House Committee Substitute 2.
Motion is for the adoption of House Committee Substitute 2. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. House Committee Substitute 2 is adopted. Gentleman from Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We have put in a great set of election laws in recent times, and we have what I think are the best laws in the nation. But there are those who are always looking for new ways to cheat the system. Because of that sad reality, it is our responsibility to remain ever vigilant. That being the case, House Bill 534, along with the lady from Shelby's House Bill 139, is the result of the combined efforts of the Office of the Secretary of State, the Kentucky Board of Elections, the County Clerks Association, KREF, constituents, and other interested parties working throughout the interim period and continuing to work during this session. So, Mr. Speaker, there's about 20 sections to this bill, and I think the best thing to do at this point, rather than try to address all 20 sections, is ask for that we move to adopt House Bill 534, subject to any questions, and also as amended by House Committee Substitute 1.
Question before the body's passage of House Bill 534 is amended by House Committee Substitute 2.
2. Thank
Chair
you.
recognizes the lady from Jefferson 34 for discussion of the matter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the sponsor yield to a question, please?
He will yield.
Thank you. Sponsor, it is my understanding that currently the way this bill is drafted with the substitute is there's an aspect of this bill that is requiring the removal of an individual from voter rolls based on a felony conviction list that includes those whose cases are still in an appeal status. So my question is why are we making that change from the way things currently stand today, which is those individuals would still have the ability to be on the voter roll while they are still in an appeals process?
Gentleman from Davis.
I would thank the lady for the question, and the answer to that is that the appeals process can take as many as several years to resolve. So what we have is a convicted felon who, through an appeals process, will be able to continue to vote for possibly years, lose their appeal, and we've had a convicted felon who should not have been voting for years. What this does is it identifies the fact that a convicted felon is exactly that, a convicted felon. When they, should they win their appeals process, then they will be allowed to reapply to vote. But state law says that a convicted felon will not vote. They're convicted. Subject to the appeals process, they should not be allowed to vote until they win that appeal.
Lady from Jefferson 34.
May I speak on the bill, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. I would argue the opposite is also true. That individual might be going for multiple years in the appeals process and miss out on multiple years of being able to vote. So the opposite, it is true. And in this country and in this state, we believe in due process and stripping a citizen of their most fundamental rights while their legal battle is ongoing is an affront to the presumption of innocence, in my opinion. So for that reason, Mr. Speaker, I filed House Floor Amendment 12 to House Bill 534. And this amendment would simply just reverse that so that we are not stripping those individuals of their ability to vote while they are in the appeals process. So I move for a suspension of the rules in order for House Floor Amendment 12 to House Bill 534 to be considered, and I call for a roll vote.
Motion of the lady from Jefferson 34 is for suspension of the rules for the purpose of allowing House Floor Amendment 12 to be acted upon. Motion to suspend the rules requires 51 votes, is non-debatable. Roll call is open for your vote. Those in favor of suspension of the rules, vote aye. Have all members supporting the suspension of the rules voted aye? Clerk will take the roll. There being 18 aye votes in favor of the suspension of the rules, motion fails. Lady from Jefferson 34.
Thank you so much. I just want to reiterate the fact that despite the fact that even if this House floor amendment was in order, I feel confidently that this body would not be ready to accept that. But I do want to point out that the only reason that this House floor amendment was not in order and that I did have to call for a suspension of the rules is because this bill was just heard and a substitute was just passed in committee. So there is no feasible way for I, as a member of this General Assembly, to be able to file something before it even gets passed in the committee. So I just want members to be aware of that, that if we are constantly setting one another up to not address aspects of bills that could have unintended consequences for individuals, such as in this particular case, that's really a disservice to so many Kentuckians. So I will unfortunately be a no on this vote today, and I would encourage other people to think about the disenfranchisement of so many Kentuckians that this bill will cause. Thank you so much.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Fayette 45 for discussion of the matter.
Wish to speak on the bill, Mr. Speaker?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. First, give kudos to my good friend, the gentleman from Davies. I know he's gone back to the well on this numerous times, and I will thank him for being willing to speak with me one-on-one about this. And I do think that House Committee Sub 2 that we see here today is the best version of this bill he's brought. So I want to give him credit where it's due on that improvement. That being said, things can always be made better, and luckily I'm here today with some good amendments that we can offer up to this body. Now, one thing that my friend from Jefferson just brought up did have to do with Section 1 and those who are convicted of felonies. I do believe that a section of my amendment does address that, in that it doesn't bring all felons into the rolls, but just those who are currently have been convicted but are waiting on appeal, which does address the sponsor's kind of problem with that. So that is one small thing, an amendment I'm going to talk about and call for here soon. Another thing it does is pretty small. It's toward the back. It has to do with campaign finance violations. It changes a little bit of language there from a 5-day to a 3-day window. But the biggest thing it does, Mr. Speaker, is it totally wipes out Section 3, which is that obligation to opt in to that federal cooperation. As the gentleman has said himself, he thinks that Kentucky has the best electoral process of all 50 states, and I couldn't agree more. I think we've done a great job with that. Credit to the current Secretary of State and those who come before him. Credit to those in this body and those who came before us to help establish those standards and criteria for doing that. And honestly, I have more faith in those in the Commonwealth than I do for those in D.C. right now. When we see that things as far as determining the legal status of others is left in their hands, it leaves a lot to be desired. Maybe the Gen Zers watching at home will appreciate this. So I saw an interview where Olivia Rodrigo was on Jimmy Fallon, and she talked about how Customs and Border Patrol apprehended her for a couple hours coming back into the country from Canada. And they finally released her when they realized that her name was not Olivia Rodriguez, who had multiple warrants out for her. And these were people who are professionals who watch the borders day and night for wanted criminals coming across. There are accounts coming out of Minnesota of Native Americans being arrested and detained. I mean, no one could be less illegal than a Native American. So the main meat of my amendment gets rid of Section 3, which forces us to enter into this federal cooperation, which I think I have more trust in those in Kentucky to do it better. Now, my poor clerks up there, I've worn them out. I've filed amendments on the original version. I've filed amendments on House Committee Sub 1, and today I filed amendments on House Committee Sub 2, so appreciate y'all sticking with me on that. But because of that, Mr. Speaker, I am going to have to move to suspend the rules to call House Floor Amendment 10.
Motion of the gentleman from Fayette 45 is a motion to suspend the rules for the purpose of allowing action on House Floor Amendment 10. Motion to suspend the rules is non-debatable, requires a constitutional majority of 51. Those in favor of suspension of the rules vote aye. Roll call is open for your vote. Have all those members supporting suspension of the rules voted aye? Clerk will take the roll. 19 members voting aye falls short of the constitutional majority required for suspension of the rules. Motion fails. Gentleman from Fayette.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Again, I'll echo my friend from Jefferson who spoke before me. I do wish that we could have done these things and waited a day on this and operated within the rules and be able to have that kind of full-fledged debate and have a roll call vote on these amendments, which maybe people in this chamber disagree with, but we can at least record that disagreement vote and the people at home can see that in the vote database afterwards. So I'm going to be a no on this one today. I appreciate y'all listening. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the lady from Franklin 57 for discussion of the matter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the sponsor yield to a question?
He will yield.
I've asked this in committee just a few hours ago, but wanted to make sure all the colleagues heard that didn't have a chance to. Is the County Clerks Association in support of this bill?
Gentleman from Davis.
So initially, the County Clerks Association reached out to me and all of you, I think, through a letter, identified 3 issues that they had with the original version of the bill. Those 3 issues included the emergency clause, included steps that they would have to take on election day with respect to citizenship status, and they were concerned about a section I put in that allowed for them to take advantage of new technologies with respect to ballot imaging. I looked at all 3 of those issues and have resolved all 3 of those issues. This bill, with its committee sub, actually does resolve each of the issues that the County Clerks Association brought to my attention. Despite those efforts, the County Clerks Association, is my understanding that the association itself has still decided to be opposed to this bill. However, I have heard from several county clerks themselves who like the bill. So that is the answer to your question.
Lady from Franklin.
Thank you for that. May I speak on the bill?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to switch gears here a minute for a section that I had filed an amendment on and have spoken to the sponsor on, but Kentucky made a deliberate decision to keep judicial elections nonpartisan so that judges are seen as independent arbiters of the law. Section 11 of this bill allows judicial candidates to highlight their political party affiliation and political viewpoints while still technically running in a nonpartisan race. That sends the wrong signal to the public. The courtroom should be the one place where justice is not viewed through a partisan lens. If we want to debate making judicial elections partisan, that's a very serious conversation we should have openly, not by quietly blurring the line in an election bill. For the sake of judicial independence and public trust in our courts, I will be a no, as many other issues in this bill that I know are concerns on this floor. I'm not going to call my amendment because the sponsor did tell me it would not be friendly, but I just want to open the eyes to what this will do to our judicial system. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Webster for discussion of the matter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to move to withdraw what I consider a very, very friendly floor amendment. It's floor amendment number 9.
Without objection, so ordered. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Jefferson 42.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield to a question?
He will yield.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentlemen, I do apologize. I hadn't had a chance to come and talk to you beforehand, so please take this question, charge it to my head and not my heart. Specifically on Section 10, there's a section that I want to make sure I understand. correctly. Now, it's in front of my face on my screen. It's bolded and it's underlined. So the section says that a candidate, this is about a candidate being on the same ballot running for federal office. And it says that a candidate for two different federal offices on the same ballot, if one of the offices is decided by the United States Electoral College and the person currently holds an elected federal office. Now, in my mind, that scenario could happen if someone is a sitting senator running for president. Is that accurate?
Gentleman from Davis.
Correct.
Gentleman from Jefferson.
Just one more follow-up, Mr. Speaker.
He will yield to another question.
Thank you, sir. And so my understanding is if that person who currently holds the seat of senator runs for president and loses the presidential election, that person could come back and remain a senator.
Gentleman from Davis.
That's correct.
Gentleman from Jefferson.
Speak on the bill, Mr. Speaker, briefly. I think this is very simple for me. I don't think people should be able to run for multiple federal offices at the same time. And so with that being said, I filed an amendment. I do, again, understand that I did not file it in time for it to be considered in order. And I understand for the gentleman that this may be unfriendly. But, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to call House Floor Amendment 11, and what it does is it simply strikes Section 10 in its entirely, again, because I believe that a person should not be running for two federal offices at the same time. I move for a suspension of the rules in order for the House to consider House Floor Amendment 11.
Motion of the gentleman from Jefferson 42 is for suspension of the rules allowing for action on House Floor Amendment 11. Motion to suspend the rules is non-debatable, requires constitutional majority of 51. Those in support of suspension of the rules vote aye. Roll call is open for your vote. Have all those members in favor of the suspension of the rules recorded an aye vote? Clerk will take the roll. There being 19 members voting aye, falls short of the constitutional majority of 51 required for suspension of the rules. Gentleman from Jefferson 42.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will be a no on this bill today for the reasons stated. Thanks.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Boone 66 for discussion of the matter.
Speak on the bill, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Like a recurring bad dream, Kentucky's judicial canons keep getting struck down. First, Kentucky tried to limit judicial candidates from responding to questionnaires in Family Trust Foundation of Kentucky v. Wolnitzek. Then, Kentucky tried to prohibit judicial candidates from identifying their political party in Carey v. Wolnitzek. Now, Kentucky wants to prevent judicial candidates from campaigning as a member of a political party or identifying their political party affiliation. When Kentucky writes these judicial canons, it must forget Thomas Jefferson's warning that, quote, a democracy cannot be both ignorant and free. More importantly, the canons violate the First Amendment. Those are not my words. That is the word of federal judge Amultha Parr on the Sixth Circuit in the case of Winter versus Wolnitzek. The federal courts have consistently held since 2002 a very basic principle that judicial candidates have free speech, and yet right here in Kentucky, seemingly every election cycle, judicial candidates engage in speech that is clearly protected under our precedent, and it gets struck down in federal court every single time. Mr. Speaker, I want to respond to the point about nonpartisan elections because this statute is clear. Judicial elections remain nonpartisan. There is no R or D or I or L or G next to the name of any candidate for judicial office. This section of this act simply allows judicial candidates to do what the First Amendment The United States Supreme Court and the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals that is binding on Kentucky has repeatedly stated they are allowed to do. It puts an end to this persistent practice to ensure that candidates are able to inform the voters of where they stand on these crucial issues so we can have further transparency. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson 32 for discussion of the matter.
Yes, sir. May I ask the sponsor a question?
He will yield.
How many documented cases are there, as given to you by the Secretary of State, of someone who is not a citizen actually voting?
Gentleman from Davis.
I haven't asked the Secretary of State for that information, and I don't think it's relevant. And the reason I don't think it's relevant is that we don't have to wait for a problem to happen before we take steps to ensure that problem doesn't happen. This bill is a good bill, making good election laws better without waiting for an emergency to happen.
Lady from Jefferson 32.
May I speak briefly?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is another example of a non-problem that becomes riling up so many people to be concerned of a very major situation that isn't actually happening. I'll vote no today.
Chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson 41 for discussion of the matter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a question and comment on the bill.
He will yield to a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentlemen, I did have letters from the county clerks that are opposed to your bill, and they're really concerned about many things, but one of them is that they are so busy, and especially in all counties, large and small. They've got to find poll workers. That's getting worse and worse. They're harder and harder to find. They get little pay to be poll workers. They have to stay there forever. So my question is, and I haven't seen anything on the bill that there is a cost, but what is the cost? And has the budget folks said, okay, we're going to add something to the budget to help our county clerks and our Secretary of State enact this or help with this bill?
Gentleman from Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for the question. So with the concern about the county clerks, their primary concern that was brought to me was activities on Election Day with respect to trying to resolve citizenship issues while there's voting going on. House Committee Substitute 2 resolved that issue, took that section out. The actual process for identifying citizenship starts with the Administrative Office of the Courts, works through the Board of Elections, and as we approach Election Day, if there is an issue with someone's citizenship, there are steps in process that are already there and will be reinforced with this bill to resolve these citizenship issues before it ever gets to the county clerk's level. So statistics are what they are, but what I have heard from other states and what we've seen is if we extrapolate what other states have seen, we could see perhaps statewide 125 or thereabout issues where we'd have to deal with citizenship. That would be one per county with a couple of extra ones in Jefferson County because it's Jefferson County. No disrespect, that's just an inside joke. So the short answer is that with that being the number of people that we have to worry about, number of issues we have to worry about, there should be no additional cost. This would be part of a routine day for a clerk's office to resolve any voter issues. Most of the effort happens at the AOC and the Kentucky Board of Elections level, and they have not expressed any need at this point for any additional funding. They understand what needs to be done, and they think they can do it.
Lady from Jefferson 41.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May I speak on the bill?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentlemen, I'm still really concerned about the cost because we do things here in Frankfort, up on the high level, and then when it gets down to the poor folks that are administering what we've done to them, they realize there is a cost. It's very difficult to administer. And I can remember, now we're assuming that all Kentuckians, or many of us, are ready to commit fraud. And I remember a day when we could go vote and take an electric bill with your name and address on it. And now you're probably going to have my birth certificate and my marriage certificate because my name is different than it was before, but that's a whole nother story. But, you know, we've had literally no problems and no fraud in Kentucky. Just ask the Secretary of State. And I said this earlier about him, even though we're of opposite parties, he has just been fabulous in administering our elections. He's easy to get a hold of. He answers questions. But he has really administered our elections in a fair, equitable way. And he didn't come to testify at this committee, but I've seen him testify before about 0.0001 or something fraud in Kentucky. So as the gentleman said, we are very outstanding. We're probably number one in the country as far as elections and free of fraud, free of abuse. But I'm really concerned because it makes assumptions that all Kentucky voters are just waiting to cheat the system, waiting to commit fraud. But voting is such a sacred right, and our servicemen and women have given their lives to protect our democracy and our right to vote. Voting should be easy and accessible. Every Kentuckian eligible should be able to vote in the easiest way possible. I mean, we need voting centers, mail-in voting for people that have disabilities or can't get to the polls. And you shouldn't need 5 forms of identification: your marriage certificate, your birth certificate, your passport, your driver's license. Because our Secretary of State has proven that we are pretty much free of fraud. And I want to give him some accolades because he has just been a wonderful Secretary of State. And I know that, like I said, we're of opposite parties, but he's been really good. But this bill is not needed. It's not necessary. I appreciate and acknowledge the Kentucky citizens are fine, upstanding people. And I trust them. And I will be a no vote on this bill because I trust my citizens in Kentucky, and I trust our voters, and I trust our Secretary of State, and I have concerns that it's going to be very cumbersome for the AOC to get information. How's that going to work? AOC to get list of felons to Secretary to the I don't know who they're going to go to. I don't even think the bill knows who they're going to go to. So I think it's really something that needs to be worked on if we want to really look and clean up, which we don't need to clean up, but I'm going to have to be a no vote on this bill. Thank you much, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Fayette 79 for discussion of the matter.
May I speak on the bill?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Despite what some on this floor might think, I really wasn't intending or planning to speak on this today until my good friend, the seatmate, gentleman from Boone, got up and talked about First Amendment rights and people should know what political parties people are when they're running for judge. And I just want to, it brings me back to one of my favorite quotes. In his farewell address, President Washington said that he warned that the spirited parties, political parties, would be the worst enemy of a popular government. He argued that partisanship would lead to rivalries, fights, deposition, and ultimately allowing cunning individuals, which we have plenty of on this floor, to subvert the power of the people and to usurp for themselves the reins of government. When we make things more partisan, all of us are doing less good for the people that we serve. And we don't need to always rush to our partisan corners. We don't always need to rush to our parties. And just because it's what we can do doesn't mean it's what we should do.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Carter for discussion of the matter.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to ask the sponsor a question.
He will yield.
Gentleman from Davies, I've received some correspondence from a county clerk regarding barcodes, and I was looking on page 12. Does the measure before us prevent the usage of barcodes?
Gentleman from Davis.
Thank you for the question, gentlemen. No, it does not at this point. What we have in the works, and this bill lays out a process for this, is that with coordination with the manufacturers of the voting machines that we have, we will eventually work ourselves away from using barcodes for tabulation purposes. But given the nature of the process to make that happen and the expense involved, what county clerks will be able to do is, as they move forward and refresh their equipment, renew their equipment, we will get to the point where they will be receiving versions of the equipment from the manufacturers that don't include barcodes for tabulation purposes.
Gentleman from Carter.
Can I ask a follow-up question, please?
He will yield.
Gentleman from Davies, when that happens, will that cause more of the ballots to be tabulated by hand counting only?
Gentleman from Davis.
No, there still will be a tabulation process that will include tabulating machines. They simply will use the ballots themselves for counting and tabulating, as opposed to taking a ballot, converting it into a barcode, and then tabulating the data on the barcode. It will, I think it's a better process where we will actually have the ballots used to tabulate votes, not a mechanical process.
Gentleman from Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes the lady from Fayette 76 for discussion of the matter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the sponsor yield to a question?
He will yield.
Thank you. What would happen if someone shows up to vote and they have accidentally been purged from the voter rolls on the day of the election?
So if they show up and I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman from Davis.
When they show up to vote on election day, if they are on a list that says that they're not eligible to vote, they will have the opportunity to sign an affidavit that says they are eligible to vote and vote with a provisionary ballot. And then after that, they will be allowed to come in and prove their citizenship either that day or after the fact with the county clerk's office.
Lady from Fayette.
Thank you for that clarification. May I speak on the bill, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I want to echo my colleague, from the lady from Jefferson's comments, that we know that Kentucky's done an incredible job with our election security. I think that we have done a great job cleaning up our voter rolls to make sure that people who are deceased are no longer living here, are no longer eligible. There haven't been any documented cases of widespread fraud here, and we have these systems in place already. My concern here is that people who should be eligible to vote in our elections wouldn't be able to. And I'm grateful to hear that they would be able to receive a provisional ballot, but what if they don't know that? And we have, I think my election had 18% turnout. Our voter participation rates are so low already in this state. And if we are doing something that's going to even threaten to prohibit people, are they going to feel comfortable going out and taking that risk? Because they might be told no. And I think we need to be doing whatever we can to encourage people to participate in our democratic process. And I worry that some of the provisions in this bill would hurt rather than help that. So I will also be a no today. Thank you.
Question before the body is passage of House Bill 534 as amended by House Committee Substitute 2. Chair recognizes the lady from Fayette 75 for discussion of the matter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield to a question?
He will yield.
Mr. Sponsor, my question relates to Section 3. I'm looking at pages 4 and 5. This is relating to the information that the State Board of Elections is authorized to send to the federal government to identify non-citizens. What I see here is that only name, date of birth, and last 4 digits of Social Security number are eligible to be sent to the federal government. And then I see in subsection 4 that the federal government is, and any federal agency is prohibited from getting the other information that you've laid out, like address, driver's license number, voting history, political party. Are you aware, sir, that with the first three pieces of information and the internet, you can find all those other things?
Gentleman from Davis.
Yes.
Lady from Fayette.
Would he yield to another question?
He will yield.
If those things are still discoverable, why go through the exercise of laying out what we wouldn't send?
Gentleman from Davis.
Unfortunately, I'm not sure I understand the question. I would ask for maybe a clarification.
Lady from Fayette, could you restate your question?
Yes, I will. It seems to me that there's a reason we're not sending these other pieces of information to the federal government. Privacy concerns being probably the top reason. Because we don't want the federal government to know and make decisions based on information like whether or not we are active voters or what political party we affiliate with. So if providing them enough information to allow them to discern those things is what's happening by providing them the first three things, are we not shooting ourselves in the foot by giving them the things they need to find out the things we don't want them to know?
Gentleman from Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So the three pieces of information that we've identified, and I guess I should back up and say that we have strived mightily to find a balance between what the federal government is asking for with respect to information and personal privacy rights. So the three pieces of information we're providing actually are already available at the federal level. What they've asked for is access to basically a more concise database where they have an easier access to it. The information's already there. They're just looking for us to help them collate it, make it a simpler process. So we are not giving the federal government, with respect to this, the language in this bill, we're not giving the federal government any information they don't already have. So the issue that you brought up is a valid issue. However, this is not going to make that issue any worse than it already is.
Lady from Fayette.
Thank you so much. If I may, sir, I'd like to briefly speak on the bill.
Yes, ma'am.
I trust Secretary of State Michael Adams. I trust our county clerks. I wish I could say that at this very moment I trust our federal government, but I am struggling. We have had safe and secure elections here in Kentucky, and there's no evidence to the contrary. But I am deeply concerned that this bill not only will undermine the security of our elections, but undermine the freedom of people. When we hand over information that allows political dissidents, folks who are not aligned with the leaders of our country, we are doing a dangerous thing. It's truly alarming to me that we are not providing greater protections for our citizens, for our people who live here in Kentucky, our neighbors, our friends, our family. This bill didn't have to be rushed here today, and we could have taken the time to make it better as a group, but I have been tearing through the sub because it didn't even pop up on my bill book. I had to go get help to have it come up. It should have automatically come up in the bill book, and yet it didn't. If I am having trouble, then I know that the viewers at home watching us on KET don't have the benefit of seeing this, and they don't know what we're signing them up for. This is the third time this session we've had to suspend the rules, or at least try to bring amendments to the floor because of this rushed procedure. We're only halfway there. Why are we rushing things that are of such great import? I appreciate the time to speak in opposition, Mr. Speaker, and I certainly hope that my worries are unfounded.
To recognize the gentleman from Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate the conversations we've had. I appreciate the questions we've had, and I'll be glad to answer any additional questions as this bill moves forward through the process. But at this time, Mr. Speaker, I move for passage of House Bill 534 as amended by House Committee Substitute 2.
Chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson 40 for discussion of the matter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I appreciate your comment, sponsor, but will the sponsor yield to a question?
He will yield.
Sponsor, do you know the error rate for the expanded SAVE system that we're purporting to use in this bill?
Gentleman from Davis.
I've heard from a couple of other states with respect to errors they've had. It's actually, that's where I used the data I said of approximately 120, 125 possible issues that needed to be resolved if we did this in Kentucky. So that's the best data I've got.
So there have been reports.
From Jefferson.
Apologize, Speaker. Will the sponsor yield to another question?
He will.
Sponsor, you may have answered this already. I apologize if you have. What is the actual rate? I know you did not speak with the Secretary of State about this, but the percentage or number over the years historically, I think in testimony in committee, this might have come out of actual non-citizens voting.
Gentleman from Davis.
Secretary of State and I have talked about a lot of things on this bill, but we didn't specifically talk numbers, and I will again emphasize that we simply do not need to wait for a problem to happen before we try to fix it. There's nothing wrong with going ahead and making a good system better, and that's what this bill does.
Lady from Jefferson.
Thank you. One more question. Will you yield?
He will yield.
Thank you. Sponsor, if there is a mistaken flagging in the SAVE system, I, for instance, was naturalized when I was 14 years old. There have been reports in early adopters of the SAVE system because it's been so rapidly expanded by our federal government. What is my recourse for being able to vote in a primary or general election under this legislation if it is a mistake in the SAVE system?
Gentleman from Davis.
So if an individual is flagged by the SAVE system, should that system go into effect? If they are flagged, the administrative office of the courts, the Board of Elections will be sending notification to that individual that there's a concern with their citizenship status. It explains the exact steps that person can follow, and that process is ongoing from the moment that the individual is flagged until the citizenship status is resolved. So there is a process in place.
Lady from Jefferson.
Thank you, Speaker. May I speak on the bill?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Speaker and sponsor. I appreciate all of your answers, but I think we all know, and certainly data has proven out, that there is no widespread non-citizen voting in Kentucky or in the United States. This SAVE system that we're currently using has been expanded, as I mentioned, very rapidly to try to find data and to act as though we are in this emergent state of widespread non-citizen voting, when in reality the facts have not borne that out. In a recent Texas election in one county where there was a lot of confusion caused by a mistaken flagging of citizens as non-citizens, the error rate was between 15 to 20% for people who were citizens, not just naturalized, people who were born in the United States who were not able to exercise their right to vote. I understand that there's a process in this bill, but it would disenfranchise people more than it would address the non-existent issue of non-citizen voting. And for all of those reasons, I don't know why this body would choose to disenfranchise anybody and give them such a lengthy process to wait before they could exercise that right as a citizen. For that reason, I will vote no. I encourage this body to think about all of the issues that the sponsor himself has said are not resolved. And I would urge us to think about what we are doing here when we're actually actively making sure that there are people in this state that will not be able to vote while talking about a non-existent issue that this bill is purporting to fix. So I urge this body to vote no on this bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Clerk will say on the chimes. Those in favor vote aye. Those opposed, nay. Roll call is open for your vote. Chair recognizes the lady from Fayette 93 for explanation of vote not to exceed 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to say I proudly voted no on this bill today for a number of reasons. I voted no for my county clerk, who has expressed concerns over angry people who may be coming to their office should they not be allowed to vote. I'm upset. I voted no because of the process. This is not the way that we pass legislation. There's 20 Democrats in this House, and I still cannot figure out what the fear of having real debate is. Like, why are we afraid of transparency? These bills are not, you cannot find them on the LRC website. I have people texting me saying, I can't even see the bill that you're voting on, and funny enough, I can't either. This is a concern. This is not how this body, how we as a group of adults and individuals who are responsible for passing laws should be doing this. True debate, true conversation is the best way that we can pass legislation. This is not the way. This is not a good bill, and it's going to cause problems and create people suffering and struggling with disenfranchisement. I proudly voted no.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Spencer for explanation of vote not to exceed 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On January 7th, 2025, on the first day of our session, every member in this body raised their right hand and took an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of Kentucky. In the November 5th, 2024 election, Amendment Number 1 was ratified by the citizens of Kentucky. Because of that, Section 145 of the Kentucky Constitution now reads in part that no person who is not a citizen of the United States shall be allowed to vote. It does not say only a few, only just one. It says no. And voting yes on House Bill 534, we are affirming and defending the Constitution of the state of Kentucky.
All members voted. Clerk will take the roll. Being 53 members voting aye, 40 members voting nay, House Bill 534 is amended by House Committee Substitute 2 is passed. Gentleman from Davis.
Mr. Speaker, could the clerk please call House Floor Amendment 3, the title amendment?
Clerk, please.
House Floor Amendment 3, the title amendment to House Bill 534.
House Committee Amendment 3, the title.
My correction, Mr. Speaker, House Committee Amendment
Clerk, please
3.
report House Committee Amendment 3, the title.
House Committee Amendment 3, the title amendment. House Committee Amendment 1, the title amendment to House Bill 534.
Gentleman from Davis.
Move for adoption of that amendment.
Without objection, so ordered. Gentleman from Davis.
Move for clincher.
Without objection, clincher is applied. Gentleman from McCracken.
Mr. Speaker, that concludes the orders of the day.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Bullitt 49, the chair of the Enrollment Committee, for an Enrollment Committee report. Gentleman from Bullitt, tell us about the good works of the Enrollment Committee.
All right. Mr. Speaker, the Enrollment Committee has met and found the following bill to be in order and ready for your signature. Senate Bill 145.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chair is about to sign Senate Bill 145. Gentleman from McCracken.
I was on it when I was in the minority. Mr. Speaker, that concludes the orders of the day.
Next order of business is motions, petitions, communications, and announcements. Gentleman from McCracken.
Mr. Speaker, I move you, sir, that House Bill 900 be taken from the Committee on Committees, given its first reading, and then returned to the Committee on Committees.
Without objection, so ordered. Clerk, please report.
House Bill 900, Representative Petrie, an act relating to government agencies, making an appropriation therefore and declaring an emergency.
Gentleman from McCracken.
Mr. Speaker, I move you, sir, that House Bill 502, 816, 869, House Joint Resolutions 75, 76, and 81 be taken from the Committee on Appropriations and Revenue, given their second reading, and then returned to the Committee on Appropriations and Revenue.
Without objection, so ordered. Clerk, please report.
House Bill 502, Representative Petrie, an act relating to road projects and declaring an emergency. House Bill 816, Representative Rudy, an act relating to authorizing the payment of certain claims against the state, which have been duly audited and approved according to law and have not been paid because of the lapsing or insufficiency of former appropriations against which the claims were chargeable, or the lack of an appropriate procurement document in place, making an appropriation therefore and declaring an emergency. House Bill 869, Representative Bowling, an act relating to economic development, making an appropriation therefore and declaring an emergency. House Joint Resolution 75, Representative Petrie, a joint resolution relating to road projects. House Joint Resolution 76, Representative Petrie, a joint resolution relating to road projects. And House Joint Resolution 81, Representative Bray, a joint resolution authorizing the release of funds and declaring an emergency.
Gentleman from McCracken.
Mr. Speaker, the only thing left that I have in motions, petitions, communications, and announcements is to yield to the gentleman from Perry for a very important announcement.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Perry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I apologize for not being in my spot last Thursday. But tomorrow we are having a big boy breakfast. All legislators are invited. KSPPA is sponsoring it, and I hope to see you there at 0700.
Members take note. Thank you, gentleman from Perry. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Mason. For what purpose, sir?
Communicate with the body, Mr. Speaker.
Sir.
This evening, the Small Business Caucus will have their reception at the Delegate Hotel starting at 6, and there are no further questions.
Members take note. House come to order. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Johnson. For what purpose, sir?
Act on a citation.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would ask the clerk to report 061 citation, but title only.
Clerk, please report.
Citation 61, Representative Blanton. Citation of celebration. The House of Representatives of the Commonwealth of Kentucky hereby recognizes and honors Trades Day at the Capitol, March 5th, 2026.
Gentleman from Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is my honor to recognize Trades Day at the Capitol and the hardworking men and women of the state of Kentucky, building, construction trades, and council. Their commitment to skills, craftsmanship, workforce development, and family-sustained careers strengthens the communities across the Commonwealth. Kentucky's building trades have played a vital role in constructing our infrastructure, supporting our veterans, and creating opportunities for future generations. I thank them for their dedication and continued service for Kentucky. As for adoption.
Without objection, so ordered. Chair recognizes the lady from Metcalf. For what purpose, ma'am?
To make an announcement to the body.
Yes, ma'am.
In recognition of March being Colon Cancer Awareness Month, I'd like to encourage my colleagues to participate in Dress in Blue Day tomorrow. And if you want to wear your sneakers, I'd be good with that too. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Bullitt. For what purpose, sir?
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to address the body, please.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Speaker, when I first ran for this office, I knocked a lot of doors. I came in second place only to the lady from Grant. I listened to a lot of people's concerns. One large community wanted a sound wall. We got that. Most of my area was pro-life. I promised them I'd do everything I could to take care of the abortion issue. Just about everybody thinks we pay too much taxes, and we've done a good job at cutting that about in half. One more I'll mention, reformulated gas. They didn't like paying more than anybody else. And with the help of a current congressman, that stalled for a long time, but we finally got rid of that. The only other big issue that I had was Highway 44 between Shepherdsville and Mount Washington. We had a bridge closed recently, and we've had 4 fatalities since it is closed. Sarah Elizabeth Wiseman was the latest one. She died Saturday in a head-on collision. Mr. Speaker, I've had that as my top priority, or 44 is one of my top priorities since I've been in office, as well as the former gentleman from Bullet 26 and the current gentleman from Bullet 26 and our senator as well. And at this point in time, 8 years later, we're still in the right-of-way phase, and it's got nothing but 10 times worse. The reason I'm bringing this up was I'm hoping somebody in the sound of my voice could hear me, a congressman, current governor, future governor, someone that could help me get this taken care of. People are dying. There was another accident yesterday, fortunately no fatalities. But if there's anybody that can help, anybody that watches this and can hear, I would really appreciate the help. It's become the highway of death in our county. And I don't like to take up too much time on the House floor, but I really appreciate you letting me address this problem. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Fayette 77. For what purpose, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would you have the clerk please read citation 60, please, by title only?
Citation 60, Representative Brown. Citation of welcome. The House of Representatives of the Commonwealth of Kentucky hereby recognizes and honors the members and leaders of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority.
Gentleman from Fayette.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We missed being able to see those lovely ladies in pink and green today because they had to be at Kentucky State because of the renovations of the Capitol. But they came today, and they came out in pretty large numbers, about 45 or 50 of them. I'd like to read the citation of welcome. The House of Representatives of the Commonwealth of Kentucky hereby recognizes and honors the members and leaders of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority as members of this historic organization gathered in Frankfort, Kentucky during the 2026 regular session of the Kentucky General Assembly to celebrate Alpha Kappa Alpha Day on the Hill. Founded on January 15, 1908 at Howard University in Washington, D.C., Alpha Kappa Alpha is a respected affiliate of the National Panhellenic Council, NPHC, and is one of the elite organizations that comprise the Divine Nine, a coalition which includes Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, Omega Psi Phi fraternity, Delta Sigma Theta sorority, Phi Beta Sigma fraternity, Zeta Phi Beta sorority, Sigma Gamma Rho sorority, and Iota Phi Theta fraternity. This historic event brings together active citizens and community leaders from across the Commonwealth and will feature advocacy and engagement opportunities related to the relevant issues impacting the Commonwealth and its citizens, recognizing that Alpha Kappa Alpha and the NPHC evolved during a period of time when African Americans were being denied essential rights and privileges afforded to others, and that since that time, Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority has joined with other NPHC affiliates to promote the well-being of its members and their communities. The members of this distinguished body are deeply honored to join Representative George A. Brown Jr. in welcoming the members and leadership of this worthwhile organization and extending sincere best wishes for every future success as they continue to work tirelessly in the interest of the common good. Done in Frankfort, Kentucky, this 5th day of March in the year 2026, and is signed by David W. Osborne, Speaker, House of Representatives, and George A. Brown Jr., Member, House of Representatives. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I move for adoption.
Without objection, so ordered. Thank you, gentlemen. Chair recognizes the lady from Fayette 93. For what purpose, ma'am?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May I communicate with the body?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to share a Women's History Month moment. I've actually had the pleasure of meeting Chef Weta Michael. Chef Michael has reshaped Kentucky's cuisine by proving that local food, regional tradition, and fine dining can thrive together. And if you've ever had her food, you know she does it magically. She's a nationally recognized chef and restaurateur and built her career around the belief that Kentucky's farms, seasons, and culinary heritage are worthy of celebration at the highest levels. Through restaurants like Holly Hill Inn, Michael pioneered the farm-to-table movement in Kentucky way before it became a national trend. She's worked closely with local farmers and producers, strengthening rural economies while elevating Appalachian and Southern foodways. She's also named a James Beard Award winner, and her influence extends beyond the kitchen, shaping how Kentuckians value food, land, and community. Her legacy connects agriculture, culture, and sustainability in a way that reflects Kentucky at its absolute best. And once I chose Chef Michael as my woman for Women's History Month, I remember that I also have a gift certificate to the Holly Hill Inn that I will be using. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Time for motions, petitions, communications, and announcements has expired. Next order of business, introduction of new resolutions. Clerk, please report.
House Resolution 115, Representative Marzian, a resolution relating to the areas to be protected from civil immigration enforcement actions.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Next order of business is a meeting of Committee on Committees and Rules Committee. Gentleman from McCracken.
Mr. Speaker, I move you, sir, that the House would stand in recess for a meeting of the Committee on Committees and the Rules Committee at the clerk's desk.
Without objection, the House shall stand in recess for a meeting of Committee on Committees and the Rules Committee at the clerk's desk. House come to order. Next order of business, report of Committee on Committees and the Rules Committee. Clerk, please report.
The Committee on Committees has met and referred the following bills and resolutions: to Agriculture, Senate Bills 5 and 73, to Appropriations and Revenue, House Bills 760, 768, 844, and 900, to Banking and Insurance, Senate Bills 38 and 158, to Economic Development and Workforce Investment, House Bills 771 and 772, to Elections, Constitutional Amendments, and Intergovernmental Affairs, House Bill 775, to the Judiciary, House Bill 773, to Licensing, Occupations, and Administrative Regulations, Senate Bill 98, to Local Government, Senate Bills 20, 27, 40, 132, and 141, and House Bills 761, 765, House Concurrent Resolution 83. To Natural Resources and Energy, Senate Bill 39. To Post-Secondary Education, Senate Bill 22 and House Bills 766 and 769. To Primary and Secondary Education, Senate Bills 2 and 4 and House Bill 770. To State Government, House Joint Resolution 86. To Transportation, Senate Bill 110. And to Veterans, Military Affairs, and Public Protection, House Bills 763 and 767. The Rules Committee has met and posted the following bills and resolutions to the regular orders for Friday, March 6, 2026. House Bills 67, 542, 565, 657, and 762.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Next order of business, introduction of floor amendments. Please report.
House Floor Amendment 1 to House Bill 67 with House Committee Substitute 1, Representative Holloway. House Floor Amendment 3 to House Bill 227 with House Committee Substitute 1, Representative Lehman. House Floor Amendment 4 to House Bill 227 with House Committee Substitute 1, Representative Rudy. House Floor Amendment 5 to House Bill 227 with House Committee Substitute 1, Representative Rudy. House Floor Amendment 6 to House Bill 227 with House Committee Substitute 1, Representative Rudy. House Floor Amendment 7 to House Bill 227 with House Committee Substitute 1, Representative Rudy. House Floor Amendment 10 to House Bill 534 with House Committee Substitute 2, Representative Moore. House Floor Amendment 11 to House Bill 534 with House Committee Substitute 2, Representative Watkins. House Floor Amendment 12 to House Bill 534 with House Committee Substitute 2, Representative Burke. House Floor Amendment 13 to House Bill 534 with House Committee Substitute 2, Representative Hancock. House Floor Amendment 1 to House Bill 563, Representative Flannery. House Floor Amendment 1 to House Bill 571 with House Committee Substitute 1, Representative Rudy. And House Floor Amendment 1 to House Bill 685 with House Committee Substitute 1, Representative Riley.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Next order of business is adjournment. Gentleman from McCracken.
Mr. Speaker, I move you, sir, the House shall stand adjourned until 9 a.m. Friday, March 6, the year of our Lord, 2026.
Without objection, the House shall stand adjourned until 9 a.m. Friday, March 6, the year of our Lord, 2026.